After working so hard in that foreign land, giving all my energy, giving all my time, having stayed away from my children, but I lost everything. I did.
Life is unpredictable, they said. We all love hearing stories about people who began with a very little and climbed up to be really rich. But how often do we think about the opposite? This woman was a millionaire, but today she's a very poor woman. She was living in the United States with tons of money, living a happy and luxurious life, and had loads of vehicles that made her life super easy.
I had my own apartment with all the everything need. Then I had 2 cars.
Life was great, but then her life turned completely upside down and she lost everything.
Yeah, and I used to have a lot of stuff.
Okay.
I used to be a millionaire, somebody who had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because when I was in America, I worked pretty hard.
Yeah.
Very, very hard. And I managed to acquire a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, I've lost most of all these things.
Right.
So I'm just living a very simple life.
What really brought her from this to this? I have visited Kenya multiple times and have crossed a variety of stories. Usually, it's a place filled with fascinating tales, often centered around entertainment. However, it was a whole new experience because this story touched my heart deeply. We went on a long journey back to Kenya, but this time we met this very sad, beautiful mother, and she's ready to share her story with us.
My name is Beatrice Joki Mangure. I was born in a place called Embu in Kenya, and I got educated there. After my education, I moved to Nairobi City, where I went to college and I started working in Nairobi. I worked in Nairobi for quite a long time because I worked in an NGO that was called Royal Commonwealth Society for the Blind. But in the process of working, I happened to meet a man and I met him in church because since I was young, I was a church girl.
This time, it was indeed the right moment to get married and start a family. They got married and lived together happily. Later, they got 2 children, a son and a daughter.
Because now we had a family, we decided, as I was still working at this NGO, to start a business, which he was to run the business. And that's what we did. I went to my place of work, took some loans, and I brought the money to him so that he can start a family business.
However, things don't always turn out the way we hoped after choosing someone to spend our lives with.
6 years in our marriage, the man decided to leave the marriage. And he said he wanted an uneducated woman. So he left me and he went for my house girl, who he married.
This was the beginning of a hard life and the path that led her to the life she lives today.
And due to the depression of my marriage breaking up, I wanted to move out of the community. So I decided to start making plans to fly out of the country. And then it's when I decided to go to United States so that I can start life all over, where at least, my heart will start healing. It was one of the hardest times in my life. I went a lot of pain. It was traumatizing because I had to be treated for depression. So when I started the process of going to United States, and by God's grace, I got a visa and I flew out of Kenya and went to start a new life in America.
America, the land where dreams come true, but also a place where hard work is a currency that never loses its value. Beatrice landed in the bustling state of Georgia, somewhere known as Marietta. This is where she was going to script the next chapter of her life.
Life was not easy in America. Life is normally very, very hard. You got to work, no joke. And I remember when I was there, because I had left my children in Kenya, I had a family to support here in Kenya, and also I had my bills, which I needed to meet in America. I worked extremely hard.
This time here, she was going to have a good time full of many blessings. She started to live a good life where she was able to handle every situation she had left behind in Kenya. She also became famous to be known by almost all Kenyans who lived in America. They named her Chapati Lady.
As I was working there, I felt getting employed was not enough for me. So I decided to start a business of my own. And I started a catering company, which was called New Light Catering. People focus was people from Africa, Kenya in particular. I could do Kenya cuisine, and I could serve people. And the Kenyan cuisine is the chapatis, mukimos, mandazis, samosas, all that. But this one actually required a lot of working.
But remember, success always comes at a cost. As she didn't want to settle down for a regular job, here it was going to be a battle of pain every day until she felt her life was going to an end.
I did this for almost 10 years when I was in the US, and it took a toll on my health. As I was doing this work, one time I fell down and I hurt my back. I didn't know it was serious. I went to the hospital. I hadn't broken any part of my bones. Then I had a second fall, and again I hurt my back, but I didn't get any broken bone. And then I fell like 3 times. And 6 months after falling, it's when it started taking toll on my health. I couldn't stand. If I had to stand or walk or get out of bed, I had to take pain pills every day, every single day.
During this period, it was very likely that she found it hard by being by herself anymore. She felt very lonely and struggled a lot. She might have even about hurting herself because she still didn't understand what was wrong with her life.
I remember I had days of tears. I could cry. Sometimes I could just kind of look at death on my face because of the pain. Oh my goodness, it was painful. But I thank God He spared my life, and by His grace I managed to come back to Kenya.
But you may wonder what strange thing that happened to this mother to lose everything she had, because before she left America, she was already a rich woman.
When I relocated back here to Kenya, I had carried all my stuff and even bought new stuff, and I had put them in a container, and I lost it all. It never arrived in Kenya. I came only with there were about 2 suitcases that I had carried at the airport. That's what I brought back in this country. I lost things that were a lot of money, running in millions, but I didn't get anything. It was the most devastating time of my life. After working so hard in that foreign land, giving all my energy, given all my time, having stayed away from my children, but I lost everything. I did. It was very hard. Then I came to this country.
Oh my God. After all those injuries and many sleepless nights, this time she was left as if she had fought for nothing. The bad times for this mother didn't end there, because the journey of her life was filled by living wounds every moment of her life.
I registered a company to start doing tendering with the government because I fall under persons with disability. I have a problem with my leg, and even after the falls, it became worse. So after registering this company, I started looking for tenders with the government. Unfortunately, I couldn't get none. Until one time, my sister had a friend who was doing the same tendering